We're going to wait just a minute or two to give folks the opportunity to jump on and join us for this live Facebook event with Overflow Foundation. So we'll get started in just a few minutes. Thanks for being with us.
Well, is it going out?
You're not seeing it? Seeing the feed?
Not seeing the feed yet. Hang on just a second.
Technical difficulties.
Says it's broadcasting to Facebook.
If you are joining us via live Facebook, thanks for being here. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Is that volume good, John? Checking volume now? Okay.
Okay.
All right, he says he's getting a feed now, so we will just wait another minute or so. Thanks for being with us. This is Overflow Foundation for our monthly Mental Health Community of Hope meeting. All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm thrilled that you are with us this afternoon for this Facebook Live event. My name is Terry Lee, and I'm the founder and executive director of Overflow Foundation. Overflow Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was founded in memory of my son, Philip Lee Jr., who died by suicide on September 6, 2018. The foundation was formed in order to promote mental health, promote suicide prevention, as well as provide mental health education. But the main thing, the main focus of Overflow Foundation is #FEEL, again in memory of my son, but also standing for to pour hope into life. And so all of our discussions, everything that Overflow Foundation does, tries to pour hope into the lives of people who are out there just trying to make it one day at a time, one moment at a time. So thank you for joining us. I hope you will hear something today that will give you hope and encouragement to keep stepping with us one moment at a time. And so today, for our Facebook Live event, Mental Health Community of Hope is a meeting that meets once a month on the fourth Sunday of every month. Typically, we meet out at the Banks Mill campus of Cedar Creek Church. But with the social distancing for the month of March, April, and maybe May, who knows, we're going to do Facebook Live events to continue to try to connect with people and give them hope in whatever it is they're walking in for the day. Over the last several weeks, Overflow Foundation has received multiple Facebook messages as well as emails regarding a feeling of increased anxiety and depression associated with the coronavirus. Several of the emails have also discussed the depression and anxiety being related to the financial climate in our country right now. And so I want you to know that Overflow Foundation listens to your concerns and listens to the things that you're dealing with. And so I decided we really wanted to address those two things, the anxiety and depression that are kind of associated with coronavirus, but also associated with what's happening financially in our country and to so many families and individuals right now. So I've invited two very knowledgeable and expert people to be part of our Facebook Live event today, John and Matthew Travis. John is a financial advisor with Richard Young Associates and is co-host of the Money MD podcast. John graduated from USC with a BA in finance, followed by an MBA in 1992. He had over 15 years of experience in corporate finance planning before joining Richard Young Associates in 2007. John is a member of Kingdom Advisors and is a Dave Ramsey certified counselor. John is licensed in both securities as well as investment advising. So John, thanks for being with us today. John's son Matthew is also with us. Matthew is also a USC graduate from the Honors College of USC. So we have today 2 USC graduates and a Clemson grad who are going to work together to bring you this information. And I'm thrilled that we're working together to maybe give you some additional hope today. Matthew, as I said, is a graduate of USC also. He studied finance with a concentration in data analytics, and he completed his certified financial planner coursework with Kaplan University. And Matthew has a particular passion and desire to help get financial training and more knowledge out into the community. And he enjoys teaching Financial Peace University, which is the program sponsored by Dave Ramsey. So Matthew, thank you for being here as well. So I've done just a little bit of reading about what's happening financially. I know the emails that we've gotten with the comments there. And I know that the unemployment rate right now is soaring, probably at an all-time high. I think some 17 million people maybe filed for unemployment just in the last 4 weeks, according to an article that I read in the Washington Post. So I'm going to just turn things over to John and Matthew now and let them use their expertise to speak to us about the financial climate right now and to maybe give us just some very practical knowledge and some words of hope that we can apply, maybe to be able to take some small steps forward in what we're dealing with associated with coronavirus. So John, you and Matthew, take it away.
Thanks so much, Terry. We appreciate the invitation, and like everyone out there, this has certainly been a shock to everyone personally, individually, families, businesses, the healthcare community, and it's happened really, really quick. It's the last 2 months. It's really changed 180 degrees from what we saw back in early February and certainly in January. So I, like you, watch the news, and I have made a decision to try to curtail that because there's a lot of negativity, and the news sells fear.
Absolutely.
And there is a lot of fear out there, and so we're really excited today to come and bring some positive thoughts and some positive steps that you can take, and also some encouragement as well. So I'm going to let Matthew kind of jump into some of the topics, and we're going to give you some things to think about, and then also some practical steps from a financial standpoint, and then some resources as well that are available to you as you go through this. So Matthew, I'll let you start in.
Yeah, so as we were thinking about what to say during this, we wanted to really understand fundamentally what people are going through, and then also provide some practical help. So I'll just kind of give the foundation for why we believe what we believe about money and about finances and what we truly believe, and we'll jump into the actual economy. So it's from the book of John in the Bible. So it's one of the 4 Gospels, and Jesus is speaking to his disciples. And it's a really interesting passage. It's John 16, verse 33. So he says this to his disciples. He said, "I have said these things to you," we just finished talking to him, "that in me you may have peace. And in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And what's really interesting about that passage is Jesus actually, he identifies with us in our suffering, because he, as our high priest, he became part of our suffering. He became our sin. So he's not saying that out of context and saying, hey, you guys will go through this suffering. Life will be hard for you, but not for me. He actually knew what we would be going through. There's a quote by John Piper, which I just thought was so wonderful, and it just exalted Jesus and what he's doing through this, because it's honestly, like we've said, it's a challenging time. John Piper says, "Therefore, God not only comprehends the coronavirus, he has purposes for it. God does nothing and permits nothing without wise purposes." Nothing just happens. Everything flows from the eternal counsels of God. All of it is wisdom. All of it is purposeful. And for those who trust in Jesus, all of it is kindness. For others, those who don't trust in Jesus, it's a merciful wake-up call and he quoted Revelation 22:17 that says, "Hey, if you're thirsty, if you're hungry, come to me and eat, come to me and drink, and you will find satisfaction." So we'll jump into the economy, but it's just a really good foundation to say, hey, money will never provide your happiness. We're being exposed right now that we may be struggling with that, but it is never designed to provide us the happiness and contentment that we truly long for and desire.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's a great basis, Matthew. And so when you look at, I'm going to just kind of dive into some of the details of the current state of the economy. As Terry mentioned, the unemployment rate's over 20%. I mean, it was down in the 3.5% range, 2.5 months ago. We've been on a lockdown for the last month and a half. We're starting to see states slowly reopen. A lot of negative media out there. When I do hear the conversations, they're negative. And so, but I want to give you some perspective on this situation we're in. Now, this pandemic is certainly unique, but we've had other issues with health crises, Ebola, H1N1, the swine flu, and every single time our healthcare community has rallied and come up with a solution. Now, we can't sit here today and tell you when that solution is going to be, but there will be a fix. There absolutely will be a fix. I don't know when it's going to happen, but there are millions of people that are working on this problem across the world. So we will get past this particular incident. Now, it's certainly difficult as we go through. April has been very challenging for all of us, but we do look back at history from an economic standpoint. And we've seen the economy struggle like we're struggling now. Now, this has been very, very quick. That's the unusual piece of this. But we've seen the Great Recession back in 2008. We saw the 9/11 crisis. And the charts that Matthew and I look at, you can go back and look for 30 years, 50 years, 70 years, and there are a lot of events that have happened in our economy, and we've always recovered from it.
Right.
We have always recovered. Now, sometimes the time frames take a little longer than what we want, but we will recover from this. And I just want to give folks some hope and encouragement that this too will pass. And I think the state that we're in right now certainly is challenging, and not being around people as well. The isolation has been particularly different in our society.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch on that very briefly and hopefully be very vulnerable and honest with everyone. This has been just a very challenging time being isolated and talking with a lot of people and thinking about my own situation. I think one of the extremely hard parts is going through what we're going through is challenging enough, but then not having a community of people around you that can actually give you a hug and can actually sit down over coffee and talk with you without there being barriers or something in between.
Right.
I think it's very challenging, and I think it is something that everyone is having to go through. So this just recently I was thinking through why I've been experiencing this, why I'm feeling these ways, and hopefully it's encouraging that you're not going through this alone. More than likely, every single person, even if they say, "Oh, I'm an introvert," they are feeling the pains of isolation. They're feeling lonely. They're feeling like they don't belong to a group, like no one understands them. So if you have those thoughts, just know that you're not alone. The people that love you very much are going through the same thing, and people that don't know you, that they're there to reach out to. So if you know someone that is possibly having a harder time with this, reach out to them, give them a call, and check in on them. And if you're one of those people like I am, then we need to take the proactive step to actually reach out to people and be honest with people and say, hey, this is a really challenging time for me. I need you to pray for me. I need you to call me once a week and just check in. It's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to ask for help. We were not designed to be dependent on ourselves. We're designed to be in a community of people and in a relationship with the Lord. So don't view it as you're the only one going through this.
Absolutely.
But to jump back into go ahead.
I just appreciate that transparency so much, Matthew, one of the things that we battle with Overflow Foundation and really anyone that's working in mental health is to punch our fist through the wall of stigma, to try to get people okay with saying, hey, I'm not okay right now. I'm feeling some anxiety or I'm feeling some depression, and I really could use someone to talk to, maybe even a regular counselor for, a set amount of time. And so I appreciate so much that transparency and your being willing to share those things about yourself.
Absolutely, and it's honest. I think the more I talk to people, like you said, I think there is a stigma to believe that we are okay and that we're doing okay. When I think a lot of times it's the when we are truly humble and truly vulnerable, that is where we have the opportunity to grow the most and to be truly at rest and at peace.
Yeah, so going back into the financial, we're going to give you some stats here from if you have lost your job, if you have limited income right now. This is very, very important to realize that there is a process and a plan that you can use to get through this difficult time. And one of the things, we listen to Dave Ramsey a lot, and he talks about protecting the four walls. And if you think about it, at the end of the day, you need to have food to eat, you need to have shelter, some protection, a safe place, you need to have utilities inside your shelter, and you need to have transportation. So those four things are the things that should be the focus of your available resources. Food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. And that is what you should spend your money on. If you have credit card debt, or if you have student loans, if you have other types of debt, those need to be put to the side. You need to take care of yourself and your family. Bottom line. And that's what you need to focus on. And if you have food, if you have shelter and utilities and transportation, all those other people can wait. And quite frankly, what's happening right now is very unusual. Most vendors are allowing grace periods on payments. So in a lot of cases, even mortgages are saying, hey, you can take your payment and you can push it to the end of the term that you have. So communicating with those vendors is very important. Now, it may take a while to get through there, but focus on protecting you and your family. A lot of these vendors are providing grace through this process. They're caught off guard just like everybody else. Mm-hmm. So the other piece of the protecting the four walls is trying to protect the cash that you have. So there was some stimulus money potentially that came in. Sometimes we see people selling things in their house. They go on eBay and sell some stuff. You can also, there are actually some people that are hiring people that do deliveries. Amazon delivery is hiring people. Walmart, in some cases, are hiring people. Restaurants that deliver are hiring people. So there are some small opportunities in that area. But again, very, very important. Protect the four walls. That's food, shelter, utilities, and transportation. And everybody else is just going to wait. That's just the way it is. It works. We saw it work in 2008, Great Recession, and it's going to work now. So make sure you take care of you and your family. But there are some available resources out there, and Matthew's going to cover that.
That's right. So he already mentioned the stimulus. Specifically with the stimulus, there's 900 pages. I had the joy and delight of skimming most of them, and I understand a decent amount. But I think what would be helpful for you to know is I'm sure a lot of you have already gotten the $1,200 rebate check that's going to be either coming in the mail or should be in your bank account already. So that's for individuals. If you're married, it's about $2,400 if you make under a certain income. Unemployment checks. If you are unemployed, there's a really interesting opportunity in the stimulus package that actually increases the unemployment from the standard $400, about $400 for the average state across America. It increases it $600 to actually $1,000 per month. Per week. So if you are unemployed, go ahead and put that in. It does take a little bit of time, like we said, but that is a great provision that can provide you a lot of support during this time.
Yeah, the unemployment is for 4 months. So that additional $600 per week, $2,400 additional on top of the roughly $1,000 for the typical unemployment. So that's over $3,000 per month, and they've extended it out for 4 months. So that's a great benefit. If you haven't utilized that, go do it, because it's there. It's for people that don't have jobs right now, and this
Right.
is a very important benefit that you should take care of.
So I have
Exactly right.
I have a question
Go
with
ahead.
that, Matthew and John. If you apply for unemployment, how long does that process take? How long before you're actually receiving some of the financial benefits from that for your family?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I can speak to that a little bit. I think it depends on the state that you're in. I know for South Carolina and Georgia, if you applied right when all the coronavirus started taking off, it took about 2 to 3 weeks to start receiving the funds. I know now it's taking significantly longer because the website is actually crashing because so many people are going on.
I did have someone recently within the last week that applied for it and got an answer very, very quickly. So
Okay.
it just depends. It could be a couple of weeks. I know that the state of Florida has had issues because there are so many people that are hitting the website. I would just say that if you are eligible for unemployment, that is your full-time job to get on that website and try to get that through. Because once you get it into the queue, you'll at least have a chance to get the money coming back to you.
Right. Okay, great practical advice. What else do y'all have for us today?
Yeah, just 2 more things on for the resources. Student loans. If you have student loans, and the government is being pretty lenient. They're saying you can delay the payments for your student loans until September 30th of this year. But key note, you actually have to call them and request to stop. It will not stop automatically.
Okay.
Private student loans, I think you need to call your lender and see if they'll work with you. A lot of them have been. And then if you're a small business owner, they do have provisions in there for loans that you can keep the doors open. But if you have any more questions on that, please let us know. But that's the stimulus. 2 other things for resources, just wise. If you really are struggling, there are community engagements, ACTS in Aiken that are food pantries that can provide food if you really are needing immediate assistance as far as living and providing for your family in that way. And then the last thing I just wanted to speak to was so I read out of John 16. John 14 speaks about Jesus again leaving peace, and he says, "I give you peace." Then he qualifies it. It says, "Not as the world gives peace." And so I just think this is a neat opportunity. Just examine your life and say, "Hey, I know this is a very stressful situation, but when this leaves, am I going to have peace? Am I still going to have peace?" And that we need to all be asking ourselves that, because the situation will get better, will improve, but then another situation will come. It's inevitable in the world we live in. So we need to make sure that we're not putting our hope in things in this world, but we have the peace from our Lord.
Yeah, I wanted to give you close up with 2 other resources. The Dave Ramsey organization has great information, DaveRamsey.com. If you're not familiar with Dave and his organization, they're just outstanding. They have very easy to understand processes. He has a radio show that's on 600 radio stations for 3 hours a day. And so, I personally listen to the podcast pretty frequently. And every podcast I listen to, I learn something new. And it's not always financially related. Sometimes it's psychologically related, associated with money. So I would encourage you to put that into your
Oh.
We're having technical difficulties. Hang on just a second, John, because we're not picking up volume right now. I don't know if y'all still have us on Facebook or not, but we're not hearing anything. Technical difficulties. Hang on just a second. Do y'all have anything? John, are y'all hearing anything? No? Y'all hang on with us just a second. We're almost done, but we have lost our, you got hearing now? Okay. John, thanks. Something happened with our sound. It's the devil probably. If you'll start back with where you were talking about resources, John, we missed most of that information.
Okay, so one of the resources, Dave Ramsey is a financial company basically, and they have DaveRamsey.com is a great resource to go to. A lot of financial processes. He has a podcast. Actually has a radio show on 600 stations around the country, and it's 3 hours per day. I listen to that frequently, and every time I listen to it, I learn something new, and I've been doing this for a long time. So I would encourage you to listen to one of the podcasts that Dave has. It's not only helped me financially in some of the concepts I've known for a long time, but also how to talk with individuals and how to, it's relationships and money, and it kind of puts things in perspective. So that's a great resource. Strongly encourage you to take a look at that. And then the last resource is Matthew and I. We're here to help. We are financial advisors, but we also do financial counseling. So if you need help in your situation, I think our email address is available on the website. But we're here. We will help you in your situation, where you are. We'll look at your specifics and give you some advice. There's no cost to do that. So there are people out there that want to love on you and encourage you and provide you hope. And so that's what we want to leave you with. Stay positive. I would say, as Matthew has talked about, having peace in this crazy world that we live in is impossible. I mean, there's so many negative aspects of it. But surrounding yourself with people and Jesus Christ is the way and the only way to peace. But there are people out there that can help you through this. And, we're just honored to be here with Terry and her organization, and the work that you're doing is fantastic.
I appreciate that so much. John and Matthew, thank you so much for being with us. I just want to close also with just a couple of thoughts. And the main one, again, is hope. You are not alone with whatever you're walking in, and we're all going through this together. And as John and Matthew emphasized at the very beginning of this Facebook Live event, we're all going through this together, and that there will be an end to it. We'll get through this, and we will be resilient, and we'll recover. And I believe that God has some very special things for us to learn through it, and to even strengthen us through it. And we'll come out on the other side of this coronavirus even better than we were when we went in, as we trust God and the way that He is working in this. Remember that none of this caught God off guard, that God ultimately is our protector and provider, and that as we trust in Him one day at a time, I believe with all of my heart that He will meet our needs. I want to remind you about the Overflow website. If you go to www.overflow.foundation, there's a help tab on our website. If you are struggling with some issues, some mental health, some aspect of your mental health, with depression or anxiety, there are resources that are listed there on that website. The very first one that comes up is the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration. And you can go to that website, click on the link, and you can put in your zip code, and it will pull up all of the resources in your geographical location. And so you can go to there and find help. There are resources available. There will probably be caseworkers or case managers there that can help you identify some of the resources as far as food and even some of the housing resources, and mental health and substance abuse resources that you could potentially be needing during this time. So remember, there is help and there is hope. I want to leave you now with the Overflow Foundation key verse. It comes from Romans 15:13, and it simply says this: "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him." As you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. So have hope today. We are here with you. Let us hear from you with Overflow's email address. Let us hear from you, and we'll walk with you any way that we can. John and Matthew again are available. You can reach out to them on Richard Young Associates website as well, and they would be glad to connect with you and to encourage you any way that they're able to also. Thanks for being with us, John and Matthew. Thank you so much for letting us have a little bit of your time this afternoon. Y'all have a great day.